Good day or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to Crypto's News. Look, I have someone very special here for you guys to see. Someone who's missed being on the show. He hasn't been on in how long? Oh, he was away on vacation while I was ailing. My parents were taking care of him, and he is back and just full of love and joy. And I'm so happy to have back Wallace. He wanted to give a nice hi to you guys. He's the original Dogecoin, of course. So, yeah. All right, Wallaby. He has now made his appearance. And yeah, welcome back into the show. We got plenty to get into today. I don't want to take too long through the show because we have quite a bit to cover. Even a random day like today, we have a lot going on in crypto. So thank you so very much for your support and for tuning in and for joining this chat. The chat, yes, just less than 300 subscribers left to 1,000. Then we have to hit 4,000 watch hours, but we're on the way for that. So you guys just tuning in and watching actually helps and goes a long way for that. Unfortunately, my situation, because of having my funds locked up with Celsius and frozen, completely gone, or whatever you want to call it, it might mean that I will have to let go of the studio very soon, sadly. I worked so hard to get here, and luckily I was able to produce some videos for you guys, but my situation is probably going to have to be changing within a few months, unless some sort of miracle comes or we can get some sort of funding. But more than likely, I will have to be wrapping up the studio. It's been a short but lovely time here with you guys, and I do hope we can continue to do it in 4K and to keep it coming for you guys. In the meantime, we're gonna do what we can, and thank you for just being a part of it. So let's go ahead and begin diving into things. So we have here CoinGecko. Oh, this should have refreshed. Why did this not refresh our chat there? Oh, is that it? Are we okay? All right, maybe we are live now. Yeah, there we go. Nice to see you guys here. So yes, we have hit kind of a floor here when it comes to the prices, it would appear. Maybe not so much since we're kind of knocking on death's door. It looks like Bitcoin has dropped below $20,000 again. Shouldn't surprise too many if you're following the analysis across the space, is that we're expecting to see a lot more downside. We've had, like yesterday, Bitcoin was only down like, what, 61% from the all-time high, when it's on average, you're going to see between 80 and 90% for Bitcoin, and obviously a lot more for other altcoins. So it shouldn't be surprising that we're dropping, especially considering the macro picture sure. So that's I mean, there's not much to comment here. Ethereum is still over $1,000, down 7.2%. Overall, the market caps have now dropped below $900 million. Overall, crypto market cap is down 5.8% to $893 million, 622,000. We might get a bump, but I can't guarantee it. It looks like following Big Boy Bitcoin here, it is knocking on that death's door here at this level that we're at right now. It tried to break it a little while ago, or was it a few days ago? And now it's going to be trying it again. Actually, it looks like 2 weeks ago. And it's going to be knocking there. And we might get as low as some are speculating 16,000 on this next level. I'm thinking that the bottom could, and I would prefer we get there sooner rather than later if we are going to have to go all the way down to Rio Goblin Town. Is around 12,000 bucks would be, I would say, the real ultimate capitulation, but it really does depend on the macro factor. Based on the timeline, it might line up with when the Fed does break things and has to reverse course. So stay tuned for perhaps lower prices, but that just means good bargains. Personally, I'm, with what I have left, just trying to stay in the studio and keep making videos for you guys. That's really my priority. But I'm in cash for the most part. I really don't have much. I still have some ETH that I had luckily staked. I had staked, so I have one node that's running and waiting for Ethereum 2.0. So maybe that, my goal is that one day that will turn into something really nice. Those 32 ETH will become something when we can actually withdraw them. And I do fully believe that that is going to be worth something. And I'm glad I staked that away for myself, so I can't really touch it. So one day that might be, and maybe for some of you guys, if you're still hodling, that would be worth a lot in the longer time frame. But right now it's survival mode. What would I have done differently if I had just entered crypto? That's a good question, Bitliet. I would of course just be very careful when it comes to the risky stuff that I had gotten into, of course, which is the CeFi, the centralized finance type of stuff. Really what always tends to work the best is just hodling. But we've never been in a situation like right now, so we're kind of charting brand new territory. I can't say that I would do anything much differently than to try to accrue on the way down and dollar cost average before the Fed reverses course. That's probably what I would be doing if I had an extra cash right now as a new person. What up? And of course, just trucking in, trying to learn as much as I can. I think that's invaluable, whether that's on Twitter, whether that's on Reddit. It can drive you a little bit bonkers, a little bit crazy following social media daily. I know it did for me, but I think that's also one of the great ways to learn. And it's too easy to just get into the white papers, to get too much into one subject. It's much better to just try to take an overall breadth and have a big perspective. That's why I think macro is so interesting. Thank you guys for joining in. D-Tang, been watching since back in the day. It's never uninteresting in crypto, bear or bull. I will say that, especially with more and more people involved. Thank you for being here, D-Tang. And yeah, Bitliet, I love having you here as well. Madman, I'm glad to be back with you, and I hope to hopefully stay here as long as I can with you guys. So your support is just invaluable, as I always say. I can't really put any sort of value to having a community. I know we have Richard Hart out there on Twitter bragging about, if you haven't seen, he's bragging about just how much Gucci clothing he can have, and purses and man purses and rings and watches. But I think there really is something to say that's more valuable than just money and how much bling you can have, and that is having a community like yours. So thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for that. So if you do want to support another way, you can go ahead and pick up one of the Ledger Nano S's via the link in the description below. Ledger Nano S. Jeez, man, what a classic. This has been the hardware wallet of hardware wallets for me. It's supported more and more tokens throughout the years, and it looks like they're doing their final run of production, only 10,000 of these, so there's probably less already. And they're going to be bundled with an exclusive PO app, proof of participation, non-fungible token. So you're going to get one of these art pieces here by an artist who is known as What Is Real. And it often features skeletons, has collaborated with Proof Collective, creator of Moonbirds, and Cosimo de Medici, featuring his work in a Times Square advert at NFT.nyc. So looks like one of the big time NFT producers. So yeah, final run edition, only 59 bucks, tax and duty not included. Get them while you can. You can do so via the link and support the show. What happened via the other channel, which was A huge mistake. Basically, I did delete the whole channel and it's unrecoverable. But we do what we can. We pick up from the pieces and hopefully rise from the ashes. And man, are the ashes burning. But I know I'm not the only one who's had a lot of issues. So it is what it is. On July 13th, Coinbase, this is just weird. We're going to get into the weird exchange news right now. It's not just Coinbase. We'll look at another one afterwards. Just kind of okay. So Coinbase on July 13th will be unifying the US dollar and USDC order books. As part of the unification process, this is just odd to me because they're going to take actual US dollars and merge the order books with a stable coin, which might not always be worth a dollar, might not always exist. Just it seems a little odd to me, but okay. As part of the unification process, USDC order books will be merged under USD order books to create a better, more seamless trading experience with deeper liquidity. So it's really about liquidity for USD and USDC. Were they already having liquidity issues for either of those pairs? Kind of makes you wonder. Some of the choices that Coinbase has been doing has been interesting. Anyway, these changes will impact Coinbase Exchange, Coinbase Prime, Coinbase Pro, and Advanced Trade users. You'll be able to deposit if you use Coinbase USD or USDC, and your account will be automatically credited on a one-on-one basis with USD. The unified USD balance can be used to trade on USD order books or withdrawn to either USD or USDC. So this is also going to be very similar for Coinbase Prime users or Coinbase Pro and Advanced Trade, who can basically swap between all of these and withdraw seamlessly. So if you deposit USDC, you're going to see that you have USD available to you and you'll be able to trade within those order books. Please note that any open USDC orders on July 13th, this might apply to you, will be canceled and users will be needing to place new orders on USD books. So be careful if you have any sort of limit orders, something like that, how that could affect you, and stay tuned if that's going to be of a matter. So there was quite a bit of drama that was springing up earlier. I'm not entirely sure as to the validity of it, but we did get Coinbase's response. It was that Coinbase was selling to ICE, to the immigrations, customs, information on Coinbase users was selling that info, and so that created a huge stir on Twitter. Coinbase is pushing back against that. They said, we want to make this incredibly clear, and I think this is pretty good news for those who say Coinbase is selling user data all the time. Well, if they are to be believed, of course, but usually since they have a stock, they're a public company, they kind of have to be a little bit more truthful either way in their disclosures, if you want to believe any corporation. But anyway, they say Coinbase does not sell proprietary customer data. Our first concern has been and always will be providing the safest and most secure crypto experience to our users. Our Coinbase Tracer tool, so those are the ones that were facing this news earlier about selling user data, are designed to support compliance and help investigate financial crimes like money laundering and terrorist financing. Coinbase Tracer sources its information from public sources, okay, and does not make use of Coinbase user data ever. So public data, there's so much you can get from public data, and does that even apply to stuff that's sold on the deep web when something or other gets hacked? I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they are selling some data, but it's public data, I guess, is what we can get. Hey, I'm glad you made it, Dreamcatchers. Welcome. Another thing that's odd, this was brought up to me by Nick on Twitter. Thank you, Nick, for the heads up. Another strange exchange doing strange moves. All sorts of weird things happening in the bear market. You're getting free trades from Binance US when it comes to Bitcoin. And this is way odder. This is Bitstamp, one of the oldest Bitcoin exchanges, is now adding a fee for inactivity. What? What is the inactivity fee? Starting from August 1st, 2022, if you have not initiated any transactions, deposit, withdrawal, or trade, or other activities that generate rewards, for example, in their Earn program, in the last 12 months, and your total account balance, fiat currency plus virtual and digital assets, is less than $200, they reserve the right to charge an inactivity fee to your account. This will be 10 euro per month for the time for the above conditions apply. So you can go ahead and buy any crypto, make a deposit or withdraw, and or stake your assets with Bitstamp Earn, and you won't be facing that fee. But this is the first time I've heard of any sort of inactivity fee on an exchange, and hopefully not a precedent for other exchanges, especially if you are one of the weird ones who prefers to hodl on an exchange. But I mean, that's becoming more and more a thing since big exchanges haven't gone down, although we have seen some of these centralized finance exchanges go down. So OpenSea had a hack actually. Where was that? Oh yeah, right here. This was it. So OpenSea had a huge email hack. It looks like OpenSea is the biggest NFT marketplace. Thanks to Eric O'Connor. He shared this with us on Twitter. You are receiving this email because an employee of our email vendor, customer.io, misused their access to customer.io systems to download and share email addresses with an unauthorized third party. Impacted email addresses include those provided by OpenSea users and subscribers to our newsletter. At this time, we believe that your email address may have been part of the customer.io data incident. So you might have received an email very similar to this. So they are warning to be very cautious from any sort of emails that are claiming to be from OpenSea. Double check, triple check the URL to make sure that it doesn't have some sort of umlaut or strange character on it. Don't click on any sort of attachments or try to download anything from these emails. And do not click on anything that might have you sign some sort of transaction, for example, with your MetaMask wallet. Just be very careful. And this doesn't just apply to OpenSea. So assuming you didn't get this, just be aware that this happens with a lot of hackers and scammers and phishers. They try to take advantage of you in this sort of way. So try to warn your loved ones as well to be very careful when receiving emails, unsolicited emails from platforms that they use or might be familiar with. Just wanted to give you a heads up. You might be facing those sorts of emails from OpenSea soon if you were part of that hack with customer.io. So I thought this was pretty funny. Sadaf.eth said, OpenSea, we leaked your email addresses. Watch out for phishing attempts. And anonymous, how do I know if I was affected? OpenSea, we'll email you. You're supposed to watch out for emails from OpenSea, but that's exactly how they're reaching out to you. Oh. Patience, right? So Ethereum dodges difficulty bomb again, writes Fortune as Gray Glacier update goes live. I just wanted to show you something up here. But yeah, Gray Glacier has gone live. Gray Glacier is the latest hard fork for Ethereum, and it has gone off without a hitch. So I've used Ethereum just today and it was fine. So we're all is good. This was to delay the difficulty time bomb, the ice age that makes it more and more difficult for the mining of Ethereum blocks while we're still in the proof of work era for Ethereum. Before we go ahead and have the merge and go full proof of stake, you can still mine with graphics cards or whatever, but it would have become more and more difficult to get a reward in Ethereum for the entire network. Could have slowed the whole network to a crawl, and this is meant as an incentive to force any sort of hard fork. Now this is really seen as a way to have the hard fork for the merge happen. But the merge wasn't ready by today, June 30th, so it's now been delayed 100 days more, the difficulty time bomb, until around mid-September, when hopefully we get the merge happen by that point. That's really the deadline, the next deadline. Although things do seem to be going ahead of schedule or odd schedule, there are always delays, and hopefully we don't have any more. But just stay tuned for that. Everything is fine, and the network is going forward as you'd expect it. There is a new token standard. This is interesting. I hadn't heard of something like this before. So rentable NFTs, there's a company, what are they called? Double Protocol, and they've put out a proposal for a new standard. So just like you have those token standards like ERC 721s or ERC 20s, which are, for example, the first kind of NFT standard that was adopted, the 721s, or you have the ERC20 tokens, which is the most popular token standard. Just a set of functions, for example, set of things that these tokens can do. There is a new one called the ERC 4907 proposal by Double Protocol that would make it so these NFTs could be rentable. So for example, if you had land in the metaverse, Decentraland, you could rent out a plot of land for others to use. Let's say you have it in a very commercial area where there are a lot of businesses that virtual VR users go into to do transactions. You could have a plot of land there that you might want to rent out to some sort of business to earn some sort of profit, and that might be possible. Or you can lend out your NFT for other purposes, like maybe DeFi NFT purposes, or you can imagine any sort of device that you could use that for. So I wanted to give you the heads up on that. There isn't word on whether this standard has gone live or not, according to the block, who did ask But it would be exciting to have all these sorts of use cases being explored with blockchain gaming and metaverse spaces. I would like to spotlight when we get some sort of new technology, and this would appear to be one of them. Just wanted to give a heads up or a nod towards that. FTX was this was the big news on the day, or the big controversy, because Twitter wants to focus on something. Crypto Twitter was based on this article by CNBC that had come out that FTX. You might see their, if you're in the United States, you'll see their billboards everywhere. You'll see that they're sponsoring sports. They're just a huge company that came out of nowhere, led by Sam Friedman. They've been offering lines of credit to distressed crypto companies during the bear market. So they've gone, for example, to BlockFi and offered them $250 million worth of credit. BlockFi is very similar to Celsius. So users would park funds there and be able to get some sort of yield, but they're having all sorts of issues themselves, just like Celsius. So FTX is now closing in on a deal to apparently that could be finalized as soon as the end of this week, because it's the finalization of the second quarter, which is apparently in the last 50 plus years the worst S&P close in the first quarter, in the first two quarters that we've ever had. But anyway, I digress. So as we wrap up the second quarter here, they might do a deal to pick up FTX for just $25 million, and this is well below the recent valuation that BlockFi had at $4.8 billion. So you had them raising money from venture capitalists and investors who wanted a piece of the company at high valuations, but now it's possible that they could be bought for only $25 million, according to three sources who spoke to CNBC with an anonymity and said that this does seem like it could be happening, although it isn't locked in that $25 million would be the final price. But that might not be the case, that any of this is real, according to Zach Prince of BlockFi, the CEO and founder. Said lots of market rumors out there. I can 100% confirm that we aren't being sold for $25 million. I mean, maybe $30 million, maybe $15 million. What is happening? I encourage everyone to trust only details that you hear directly from BlockFi. We will share more with you as we can. So you have those who might have been a little bit wiser with when it came to managing their capital. Some of these Bitcoin OG whales who might still have more money than you and I, who might be able to easily purchase BlockFi with some of their pocket change for 25 million bucks. I really like what Eric Connor had to say. What do you take? Two punks? Two punks and a doodle? What are you guys taking for this? But yeah, you can see why it's kind of funny. But another deal that FTX didn't follow up on, $25 million or less, was with Celsius. So they apparently looked into Celsius's finances, and they found a $2 billion hole in the balance sheet. $2 billion. Where did those $2 billion go? Into another super yacht? It reminds me of the trillions of dollars that is missing in the US balance sheet, if you haven't heard about that one. But yeah, it looks like there are some distressed crypto assets that even FTX isn't willing to touch. And unfortunately, Celsius might be one of those. Celsius did give us an update. They've been quite quiet recently. And again, I talk about this because I know I wasn't the only one that watches this show or is a part of this community here at Crypto that might have funds that are locked up. And hopefully it's not a situation where you're suicidal. I'm hearing that some folks might even be suicidal because they put their life savings. I know I'm someone who is basically losing a lot there, but luckily I'm not suicidal, at least not yet. No, I'm kidding, I'm not. But hopefully you're not one of those, and much love if you are feeling the distress. Celsius did give us an update. Across Celsius today, we are focused and working as quickly as we can to stabilize liquidity and operations in order to be positioned to share more information with the community. So it's not the best news. They're not saying that we're trying to open up withdrawals, sadly, but they are trying to get back in business, whatever that means, although they're still kind of running their operations. We are operating with the entire community and all clients in mind as we work through these challenging times. I mean, that's a nice thing to say, at least. We continue to take important steps to preserve and protect assets and explore options available to us. These options include pursuing strategic transactions as well as a restructuring of our liabilities, among other avenues. These exhaustive explorations are complex, Absolutely, and take time. But we want the community to know that our teams are working with experts with many from many different disciplines. They've even hired, for example, Citigroup, the big finance, I mean, the big banking company, to advise them, and they're working with. They had hired an auditing team to help them with bankruptcy, well, not bankruptcy, but help them with their restructuring. But they had recommended Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and apparently Celsius is trying to push back against this, which is really good because that might make it even more difficult for depositors to be able to get access to their funds. We had heard previously that Goldman Sachs had even been trying to scrounge up $2 billion from investors to buy up Celsius and its assets, which, by the way, is not a good thing because Celsius had about $12 billion worth of assets under management last that we had seen. I think that was around May. So $2 billion would basically mean that you wouldn't be seeing a dime, and most equity holders in the company might be seeing something, but maybe not be made whole either. So luckily that Goldman Sachs deal didn't go through or isn't going through, it seems so far, because that would be kind of a worst case scenario is what I would see. These sharks. Anyway, our relationship with the community and our clients has been a source of pride, continues Celsius, for all team members at Celsius, and we will continue to share information with our customers and when it becomes appropriate. So a lot of people are trying, a lot of entities that is, are trying to get a piece of Celsius, including Simon Dixon and Bank to the Future. So Bank to the Future and Simon Dixon, I had interviewed him. What was it, like 2 years ago? It might have been now. Wow, it feels like ages. I have no idea. But Simon Dixon has been one who's been trying to help Celsius and has been saying that he has to keep quiet and just be kind of low key about things, but saying that his first focus is on depositors. So folks like you or I who might have parked funds there and gotten some sort of yield. So we got the depositors first recovery plan finally issued today or published. You can go to bnktothefuture.co /Celsius and check that out, or you can check out Simon Dixon, Dixon, on Twitter if you want to see more about that. He also had a huge Ask Me Anything on YouTube to get into it. But here are the three proposals that he has. They're not complete buyouts except for maybe the second one, but it's nice that there are more options for Celsius to be facing here and that there is interest in helping Celsius depositors, especially from Simon Dixon, who does understand the value proposition. If you help depositors, it creates more value for Celsius, and whoever buys those assets and keeps equity in a potential company in the future, if it looks great for depositors are happy, then the value of each share is higher. So proposal number one, a restructuring to relaunch Celsius and allow depositors to benefit from any recovery through financial engineering. So this so far seems like, from what I'm seeing from what Celsius had to say, like the proposal that they're most trying to go with based on the language in the last blog post. This, however, involves risks, and full recovery of funds is not guaranteed. They might only be able to get some pennies on the dollar, maybe 50 cents on the dollar for things, but it would be better than losing everything. Proposal number two, a pool of the most influential whales in Bitcoin to co-invest with the community. So I think this is what Simon Dixon is kind of getting behind as probably one of the big Bitcoin whales, and as an OG with substantial influence with, I guess, some of these whales out there. So see the previous Series A fundraise that we completed for Celsius here. He gives an example. And we completed a similar disaster recovery offering for Bitfinex. You might remember Bitfinex and how they offered a token that eventually made investors whole. That token, it was like, oh, why are you guys giving a token? We want our assets back. When Bitfinex had a huge hack, eventually those tokens, the equity in a share of what would eventually be due if the funds were raised, were made whole. So this would be I guess, a better scenario for things. And they gave a case study video. Or proposal number three, an operational plan that allows a new entity and team to rebuild and make depositors whole. This involves risks, and full recovery of funds is not guaranteed. That one actually seems like the riskiest to me. So there's more information there. I encourage you, if you are following Celsius, to check out bnktothefuture.co /Celsius and maybe fill out this form if you're comfortable doing that, if you want to continue to follow this. It's not as good as we had hoped to see, but it's something. So Grayscale Investments, you might remember that they manage GBTC, the largest Bitcoin investment vehicle, at least stateside here, actually quite in the world. They hold quite a percentage. I would believe it was about 2 to 3% of the world's Bitcoin as part of their assets under management. They're initiating a lawsuit against the SEC. So, wow, sticking it to the man. Usually, the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, is the one that is suing projects that are securities and didn't register with them. Well, the tables have kind of turned here, where Grayscale is has announced that their senior legal strategist, someone with a lot of weight, someone who apparently really knows what they're doing, former U.S. Solicitor General and partner at Munger, Tolles and Olson, someone known as Donald B. Verrilli Jr., to help them with the lawsuit against the SEC because the SEC has again declined to allow for an ETF. In particular, we had Grayscale trying to turn GBTC, or the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, into a spot Bitcoin ETF. They have, as they said, well, let me go ahead and read what they said. They have voluntarily filed registration statements with the SEC that they did not have to do. And they did that to try to seem reputable and to try to get something like a Bitcoin ETF going, increasing information available to investors and to the SEC oversight and everything else. Grayscale supports and believes in the SEC's mandate to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation. Oh yeah, helping so much value be made. And we are deeply disappointed by and vehemently disagree with the SEC's decision to continue to deny spot Bitcoin ETFs from coming to the US market, according to Michael Sonnenschein, Grayscale's current CEO. Through the ETF application review process, we believe American investors overwhelmingly voiced a desire to see GBTC convert to a spot Bitcoin ETF, which would unlock billions of dollars of investor capital while bringing the world's largest Bitcoin fund further into the US regulatory perimeter. And I suppose about 3% of the world's Bitcoin to US regulatory capture as well, although I mean, it continues down that road regardless. We will continue to leverage the full resources of the firm to advocate for our investors and the equitable regulatory treatment of Bitcoin investment vehicles. So they did have a 240-day review period where Grayscale allowed for the public to comment on what they thought if this Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust did become an ETF. And they had, according to them, a 99% support demonstration for the conversion. So they're just seeing it's quite an overreach here of the SEC to not go with their mandates and to do things fairly across all markets. And they're just kind of picking on Bitcoin here by not allowing a spot Bitcoin ETF. And as others are pointing out, why allow a Bitcoin futures to exist but not an ETF? It's not fair. And possibly allows for even more downside for the Bitcoin's price, which might be exactly what the SEC wants. If you're going to put on your tinfoil hats there. But I thought it was just interesting and wanted to share with you that there is a lawsuit now happening. And Ryan Selkis also, I think, agrees here on Twitter where he said, all the major crypto companies are suing the US government. Crypto is punk AF. I love it here and I'm never leaving. I don't know about all the major crypto companies, but I really I like your stance there, man. I like your stance there, 2-bit idiot. And I will also share with you that, as I had talked about in, I think, last week's video, EuroCoin was launching, and that is by the same company that has USDC, USD Circle Coin. They are now launching a EuroCoin, and that is going live today. Our newest stablecoin is designed with the same full reserve model as USDC so that it's always redeemable 1-for-1 for euros. So if you don't believe the FUD that they're not actually backed 1-for-1, then this might be of value to you. And it also might create value to you if you're someone who is a liquidity provider on DeFi or other sorts of products where you could take these EuroCoin and maybe earn as others trade between them and other pairs. So just wanted to point out that opportunity for you guys who might want to take advantage of it. Or in any other way. EuroCoin is live. EuroC is the ticker symbol. And so I thought this is just funny to lighten things up, or maybe not lighten things up as we wrap up the show. Person A, they don't know it's all slowly collapsing. Person B, bro, we know, but we can't change it either. Person C, everyone knows, dude, you're not a genius. Yeah, we're just trying to have a good time out here, and smile. What else can we do? But I will thank you for the love that you continue to do, and I will finish with the quote of the day related to that. Love cures people, both the ones who give it and the ones who receive it, by Carl A. Menninger. Kind of reminds me of that quote of the smile. It costs you nothing to give, um, but it enriches both the person who gives it and receives it. Kind of like that. So thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you'll continue to do so and support via likes, showing up via Patreon or in any other way, or just chatting here. Really nice to see the chat alive here. Did I read the FTX is pulling out of backing Celsius? They basically just looked with they were like, okay, let's check out the Celsius deal. Let's pull out the magnifying glass. Yeah, we've been looking at these other deals. Yeah, those deals look pretty good. Yeah, we'll extend lines of credit. Yeah, we'll do that. BlockFi. You okay? Celsius. You're missing $2 billion. Is there? Where's? You're missing $2 billion. Is that right? That's basically what happened, and so they're not touching anymore. Anyway, do I prefer BTC or ETH? I think both of them have a place in a portfolio. It's been wild to see BTC crash so hard along with ETH and other alts, believe it or not. It's supposed to be like that hedge, but it's even been a scary place where some are saying it could again go down to 12,000 bucks. So it hasn't proven to be a great hedge right now. But ETH, so I think it's still, while some will say not really the reserve, it's still the big boy. It's got the most trading pairs. It's just slow, outdated tech, but in a way, that's why we like it. It's because it doesn't do huge changes. You kind of expect Bitcoin to work as it's going to work, while you have Ethereum having a hard fork just today. Hard forks are something that can be quite serious if they're not vetted and could result in loss of users' funds. They could result in new vulnerabilities, depending how complicated the code change is. Bitcoin really doesn't change very much. It just makes it easier for your wallets to do this or that, and it's got that reliability trust factor, and it was the one that was created by this anonymous alien god thing called Satoshi. So if you're someone who believes in the mysteries and the esoterics, and there might be something beautiful in Bitcoin. But I like Ethereum for just how it's opened the Pandora's box, as I say, of just everything, of what you're seeing with NFTs, DeFi, and so much more that I've talked about, like Internet of Things that could be opening up, just groundbreaking stuff with rentable NFTs just today again. And this is just, it just doesn't stop. It creates value for the entire space, and I think we'll be seeing the value being created for the entire world. How it's you get where I'm going at. It's just inspired so many other projects to do what they're doing. It started the idea of anyone can write a white paper, for good or for bad. Ethereum is the place you want to be if you want to be on the bleeding edge still. So I think they both have a place in the portfolio. But I'll finish up with that. Thank you so much for those questions as well, for joining me. Take care, everyone. Much love and stay cryptic. Peace.